Happy Labor Day weekend, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on another edition of the Daily Racing Form Weekend Preview. I am Gino Buccola alongside Alexa Zepp. Alexa, we don't have much time to waste because we have a lot of ground to cover this weekend. It is a busy one.
Yeah, it's a super busy weekend, Gino. We have 11 graded stakes races tomorrow alone across the country, including up in New York at Saratoga, at Del Mar in California, which has the headliner of the weekend, the Pacific Classic, and at Kentucky Downs, which is a very unique racetrack, only runs 2 weekends a year, but it's packed with elite racing. A lot of these races are win and you're in. So the winner gets a spot for the Breeders' Cup World Championships in November. So there's a lot on the line. Gino, let's take a deeper look at the feature, the Pacific Classic.
Yeah, so for our show today, we'll have 3 segments. In this first segment, we'll do a deep dive of the Pacific Classic field. Then we'll get into a pick 5 for Del Mar for Saturday that we're going to take a look at and we're going to play together. And then in the final segment, we'll do some quick hits of some of the other big races around the country in Saratoga and over at Kentucky Downs. So Alexa, as we were recording the segment on Friday morning, we actually got the news that Adair Manor, who was going to be installed as the morning line favorite, is actually scratched out of the Pacific Classic. She was going to be a mare facing the boys. That really throws a wrench into this race. It changes the complexion quite a bit. And she was no doubt going to be the favorite. So I think a lot of money will come in on Dr. Venkman and some of these other horses that you may not have liked. Maybe you have to upgrade them a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm bummed. I wanted to see the girl beat the boys because I really thought she was going to. So hopefully we'll get to see her race again pretty soon. But there's still a lot of really great horses in here. The first one is Il Miracolo. He's 2.5 to 1 and been running exclusively graded stakes races for the last year. He's won 2 of them, the Grade 3 Smarty Jones last August and the Grade 3 Ghost Sapper this March at Gulfstream. His speed figures are just continuing to improve. He has back-to-back, really his lifetime fastest races. And his most recent effort was only 2 weeks ago, and that was after a 3-month break. So I think that says a lot about his trainer thinking not only is he ready to come back 2 weeks later, but he's ready to come back 2 weeks later across the country because he's shipping all the way out to California from the East Coast. So he might improve here.
He's such a cool horse, too. He's a real fighter. He's a real grinder when you just watch his running style. And while he hasn't had a whole lot of success going this far yet, visually, he looks like it should be no problem for him. He looks like he can run all day and he'll just keep fighting you. That happened in his last race when Subsanador passed him. Then he came back on him late. He's a multiple graded stakes winner, and he's one of the major players in here. And I think you really do want to upgrade him more now with the Adair Manor out of this race.
Yeah.
So I'll try to sell everybody on the number 2. There Goes Harvard. This is one of my price plays in here. There Goes Harvard won the Grade 1 Gold Cup going 1.25 miles on the dirt a couple years ago. And he's actually the only horse in this field that has a win going 1.25 miles on the dirt. So I think that could be a real key for him late in this race when a lot of these other horses are getting a little bit tired, when they're not used to going this long of a distance and they're getting short. This is a horse who actually has that ability to go long. And his form is a bit muddied up recently, Alexa, but I think he has a couple trouble trips. Last time out, he got stuck in some traffic. In the Shoemaker Mile, 2 starts back, he was 4th and he wasn't beaten all that much. So I think he has some excuses. I think you can make a case for him going long. So he's a big price. He probably won't be as big of a price now with the scratch of Adair Manor.
That's true. I know you like this one a lot, Gino. I'm not on the team. I think he's been having a massive losing streak. He hasn't won in almost 2.5 years, and I just feel like he's been inconsistent.
You're more of a
And
Yale girl than Harvard, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I will say they did supplement him into this race, which means the owners, the connections, are putting up 10,000 to put him in here. So clearly they're confident in him.
The number 3 horse, Dr. Venkman, he kind of feels like the horse to beat now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's very lightly raced compared to everyone else in here. Only 5 lifetime starts, and he's never done worse than second place, most recently winning the Grade 2 San Diego handicap over the same course. Last out was the first time ever going long, and he just looked so great doing it. I think he should be forwardly placed, no more than a couple lengths off the lead. And given his pedigree, I'm really not concerned about the little extra distance from last out.
The number 4 is Reincarnate. Reincarnate now is the Bob Baffert runner with the Dare Manor scratching out of here. And Reincarnate is a grade 3 winner. He was second in the Cougar the second last time out. He was second in the Gold Cup a few starts back. He's another one of those horses. He kind of reminds me of Ilya Buccola with his running style. Like he's sort of a grinder that's not really fast, but he doesn't want to come from way out of it. And he'll just kind of keep looking you in the eye and fighting you. So Reincarnate, he feels like one that I think makes a little more sense now without a Dare Manor, but I still had him a cut below some of the others.
Yeah, I think he's a cut below. I am curious. What do you think, Gino? So typically, Jockey Hernandez rides Reincarnate, but had opted to ride the 7 Adara Minora. Now that she's scratched, do you think Hernandez is going to hop aboard for Reincarnate?
A good question. I think they'll probably stick with Kimura, who's here, but we have seen that happen before when you kind of have the choice, especially when it's two horses for the same barn. And now Baffert's down to 1 with just Reincarnate. I'll let you set us up on the 5 because I know you like this one. This is one of your price plays, right?
Yeah, I really like Katona, the number 5. Probably won't get quite as good odds now, but I still think they should be pretty good. A morning line was 8-1, and he had an entire year off after 2 consecutive wins. And then his trainer Doug O'Neill brought him back last month in a tough spot in that Grade 2 San Diego handicap at Del Mar, and he got second place with nearly his fastest time ever. His last 4 workouts though are really what make me like him. They've all been really fast, and he's had a 6 furlong workout, which is not something you always see trainers do, workouts at that long of a distance. But I really like that coming into such a long distance race. So to me, I hope we still get long odds. I'd love to see 8-1 on the board.
Yeah, he's just such a cool horse to root for. He's done so little wrong in his career. In 11 lifetime starts on the dirt, he's only been out of the money in 2 of those. Full Serrano is really fast. He came into this country from Argentina, and in his first start, he went wire to wire. What I think the concern I have though, Alexa, is that was an impressive race, but he's going to have to go faster and deal with even tougher company in here. So he's still going to have to improve off of that.
You're absolutely right. And, it's possible it's a little bit of a wild card because, shipping to a new country and going against, US competition is a huge difference. So we might see a huge improvement from him in his second time out. But again, he needs to improve a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll
So
probably, I might include him underneath on my ticket, but
I
he's
think
not the
that's
top
probably the
pick.
best, right? The bottom of exotics. I could see him in tries and supers
Yes.
because if he shows some speed and then fades a little bit, still hits the board. Unfortunately, Adair Manor will be scratched out. So let's move to None Above the Law, who is a Calbred who will come closing. He actually is a grade 2 winner, but that was back on the turf in 2021. So I feel like he can pass some horses in here, Alexa, but I just don't know if he's quite a dirt horse going a mile and a quarter. I don't know if this is like his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, he's very versatile. He's run half of his, races in his life on dirt, the other half on the grass. He's earned a lot of money, but like you said, he's a closer, which is kind of the only thing going for him in here with the fast pace. But I just don't think he's up to the standards with this field.
Yeah, and we rounded out with Mixto, who's multiple graded stakes placed, but he just has 1 win in 13 career starts. Another horse that I wouldn't mind using in the bottom of your exotics, like in the 3rd and the 4th spot, but he will need to improve to get the better of even just Reincarnate, who's outfinished him, and we're not even all that high on Reincarnate. So I think he's got to really improve off of some of his recent form.
Yeah, he's 1 for 13.
Yeah, that says it all, right?
Yeah,
Enough
absolutely.
said. So Alexa, as we take a look at selections for race number 10, we called a little bit of an audible with the scratch of Adair Manor. So now you end up putting the 5 on top.
Yeah, Katona. I really like him, and I like the price. So that's my top pick. Next will be Dr. Venkman, followed by your Miracolo, and then Full Serrano, our Argentinian horse.
And it looks like we're both kind of doing the same thing. We have the 3 and the 1 as like the horses to beat, and we put them
Yeah.
in the 2nd and the 3rd spot. They're like the measuring stick for this race, and we'll both try to get a little value in the 1st spot. I'll use the number 2. There goes Harvard. Alexa will use the 5. Katona there, who's 8-1. Remember, some of these odds will change a little bit now with the big scratch of Adair Manor. Alexa, as we get set for our first commercial break, why don't you let all the Sports Grid viewers know about a really cool promotion that we have for them?
Yes, we have a gift for you all. You can try out these awesome Timeform USPPs for free. You see them on our screen. They're beautiful, they're colorful, they're visual, they're interactive. So head on over to drf.com/sportsgrid and use code SGTF24 to get a free card today.
Alexa, our featured wager this week is going to be the late pick 5 sequence from Del Mar on Saturday. That's going to start in race number 7. It will include the Pacific Classic that we just previewed and a couple other graded stakes races. So we'll go back and forth and let everybody know out there some of the horses that we each like in each of those races. Why don't you start it off for us in race number 7?
Yeah, race 7 is a mile and a 16th on the turf, so it's a long race. It's for horses that are bred in California. And I like the number 4, Lord Tripping, 10-1 odds. And the factors that drew me to this horse is the improvement that we saw last out compared to his previous race. He got second by just a neck, but improved his time from US speed figures by quite a few points. And, you know, there are a number of things that I think could have influenced that improvement, including him having a new jockey, the fact that the race was a longer distance, or that it was at Del Mar instead of Santa Anita. Or it could be some kind of combination of all of these things. But he gets all those same conditions today and had a really fast work last week to back it all up. I also like the number 5, Don't Fight the Fed, 2.5-1 odds. And this son of Nyquist recently started trying out turf racing, and those have been his best performances. Time from US gives him the best early speed in the race. And while he does like to win on the lead, we've seen him come from a tracking position as well. So I think versatility is going to be really valuable in this competitive race.
Both the 9 and 11 are logical. The 9, Pure Madness, won his only start on the turf, stylishly acclaimed. The 11 came off of a very long layoff, and he won on the turf last time out. So they make a lot of sense. The one who's kind of sneaky in here is the 2, McGregor Lake, because he's had a couple trouble trips in his last 2 races on the grass. One of them was going short. One of them was going a little bit longer. He is a closer, so he could get stuck in some traffic trouble. That's an issue with him, but sometimes it actually builds up the price on a horse like McGregor Lake. And as you look at the Timeform US card for each horse, you can see all the different resources, all the different features. It's really cool. It's visual. It helps us get all the information, but also see what the pace will look like in each race. Alexa, why don't you start us off in race number 8? Talk about a couple of the horses that you like in here.
Yeah, I like the number 1 in here, Brightleaf. He ran his lifetime best last out for John Sadler and Hronis Racing and won by 4.5 lengths. And he was actually claimed out of that race, which basically means he was bought from that race. So this will be his first start for his new connections. And he's easily the strongest closer in the race. So I think he should be a factor late in the game. But my favorite selection in this race, and honestly throughout the whole card, is the number 9, Fast Draw Munnings. This is just one of my best plays. He's 8-1, and he won a race very similar to this one last year at Del Mar. And I think we're getting these longer odds on him because he's coming off nearly an entire year layoff. But that was the case last time, and he won off of the long layoff then. So clearly he can be ready. His trainer, Jeff Mullins, wins 22% of the time with over a $2 ROI when his horses come after these long breaks.
Couple of the other horses that are on our ticket, the 7, Tessero, who has some versatility. What's nice about him, he's shown some speed, but he's not a need the lead type. If 1 or 2 others go to the front, he can sit right off of them, and he'll get the jump on some of the deeper closers. He's been doing some good work up in Northern California. Better Than Gold is my sort of top play in this race. I just think second start back off of a short break, he should get a nice setup. He got caught behind horses last time out, and he was chasing a fast horse that we just talked about, Full Serrano, who is in the Pacific Classic. So the horse he faced is a horse who's going against graded stakes company. I'll include Better Than Gold. So we'll go 4 deep in here with 1, 7, 8, and 9. And that will lead to our single in the green flash handicap. That's race number 9. Alexa, we both like the 10, Motorious, in here. It looks like Motorious is just a way better horse at Del Mar. He likes the style and the layout of that 5 furlong turf course. And for both of us, we're hoping they're going very fast early and that Motorious is going to come flying late.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a closer, and it is sometimes risky when you love a closer because they can run into traffic, but I think we both agree he's the best play in here. We already kind of went over the Pacific Classic, but I'll just preview again the horses we're using in the pick 5. Gino's price play, the number 2, There Goes Harvard, and our grade 2 San Diego handicap winner, number 3, Dr. Venkman.
Yeah, and then to close things out, we'll be using 4 horses in race number 11. And I love when they have stakes races at the end of the card because you get to have those really good horses try to close out your pick 4s, pick 5s, whatever you're playing. Alexa and I have a pick 5 sequence. So the 2 horses that I like to mention, Alexa, are the 8 and the 9, Conclude and First Piece. Conclude is a horse who did not show a lot of early speed in his most recent race, but he has before. And I think if they can get back to some of those tactics when he was able to show more speed, he could be really competitive in this race because it doesn't seem like there's all that much early speed in here. So for Conclude and even for the number 9, First Piece, can he just stay forward? Can he be close enough to where he doesn't have to come from way out of it? You see the first endorsement there that shows you that Timeform US, they actually have First Piece picked right on top. So hopefully great minds think alike if First Piece wins, because that's one of our horses. But who are a couple others that we could have, Alexa?
Yeah, I really like the number 1, Astronomer. This horse ran a really impressive race last out, and he's quick early. And if you note the Timeform US early pace projector on the screen, you'll see that blue icicle flag at the top that says favors front runners. And that just means there's not a lot of speed in this race. And I feel like when I started becoming the better handicapper is when I could really visualize how the race was going to play out. And that's what you get to do with Timeform US and these tools here. So, aside from the early pace with Astronomer, we've seen him have a decent late kick as well. So I think he can get into a nice position early on and it'll be really live in here. The best thing though are his odds at 20-1, absolutely worth including on this pick 5 as well as using underneath in your exotic wagers. One last one to include is the number 3, Du Jour, who will be the favorite here at a little less than 2-1. He's won over $1 million running against Graded Stakes Company for the last 3.5 years, so he's experienced against this kind of competition. He's the defending champion of the Del Mar Mile as well and holds the fastest speed figure of anybody in here. So he is a closer, though, which is why I kind of want to try to beat him with this slow pace.
Well, let's take a look at how it all comes together for our Pick 5 ticket. It is a $90 Pick 5 play here, Alexa. And for anyone who's curious, how do you figure out how much these are worth? You just multiply all the horses that you use in each race. And remember, this is a 50-cent based wager. So we'll use 5 horses in race 7 and then 4 in race 8. 5 times 4 is 20, times 2 is 40, times 4. So we multiply them, we divide it right in half, and that'll get you all set up for your Pick 5 ticket. For all of you who are interested in these Timeform US past performances, these visual past performances, we actually have an endorsement for you, and we actually have an enticement for you. SGTF24. That's the promo code for a free Timeform US race card. Alexa, Del Mar is not the only place that has big races this week, and Saratoga and Kentucky Downs have a couple graded stakes races. So let's start over at Saratoga to do some quick hits, set everybody up for some of the big races this weekend. What's going on in race number 10?
Yeah, race 10 is the first of their 3 graded stakes on the card tomorrow, and it's the grade 3 prior rest stakes for 3-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs on the dirt. So it's a short race. The number 7, Too Sharp, is going to be the favorite in here, which is a very familiar role for her. She's been the favorite in both her 2 other lifetime starts, and she won the most recent one by 11 lengths, earning a 118 Timeform US speed figure, which is far more than anyone else has done in here. If you do want to try to beat her, I like the number 3, Tricky Temper, who's going to be 3.5-1, and she seems to be developing into her prime as a 3-year-old, winning her last 2, and just consistently improving her speed figures each time by a decent margin. One other exciting horse to note in here is the number 9, Brightwork. She was quite a champion as a 2-year-old, won her first 4 starts, and then kind of stalled out, and her progress stopped and had 2 disappointing races, but it turned out that she had an injury. So she needed a lot of time off, and this will be her debut as a 3-year-old, and the first time we've seen her race since last November.
We'll see some of the babies in race number 11, Alexa. It's the grade 1 spin away, and that will be for 2-year-old fillies. So set us up for race number 11 at Saratoga.
Yeah, like you said, it's a bunch of inexperienced 2-year-olds, which in my opinion are very fun races to handicap because really anything can happen. You don't have a whole lot to go off of. You know, you have pedigree and workouts and maybe a race or two, but a lot can happen. But my favorite in here is the number 11 Quiet Side. She's been out once and just dominated the competition, winning by 6 lengths, putting up a very fast speed figure. And if I won't be surprised to see her improve again on that second start, which you often see with young horses. There's also the number 8, the Queen's MG in here. And if you're a fan of record setting, you may want to root for her because she won the other 2 big 2-year-old graded stakes races this summer at Saratoga. So if she wins this one, she's going to sweep all 3, which will be the first time anyone's done it since 1987.
The third graded stakes will be race number 12. It's the Grade 2 Flower Bowl. And we see a familiar face down on the inside, right? Warlike Goddess is back.
Yeah, Warlike Goddess is back, and she's great. This is also a Breeders' Cup Win and You're In challenge race. So the winner here gets a berth to the Maker's Mark Filly Mare Turf on November 2nd, where they'll be gunning for $2 million in prizes. So there's a lot on the line. And Warlike Goddess is the horse to beat. I don't think anybody's going to. She's a powerful closer. She loves these long-distance races. She's the oldest in here at 7 years old, but still consistently running really fast races. She'll be even money, and she's my play.
Well, over at Kentucky Downs, they have a unique meet where they only run for 7 days, but they have huge purses. It's all grass. They have this undulating turf course that's all funky. It's up and down, and it's strange. You're seeing horses run uphill, but there is big money up for grabs. In fact, race number 8 at Kentucky Downs on Saturday this week, it actually could be worth $3.1 million if a Kentucky bred wins that race with some of the incentives. So we just do not see purses like that day in, day out. So you will see top riders, top barns, top horses all ship into Kentucky Downs for these couple of weeks in that Nashville Derby, which is going to go as race number 8. I think one of the horses to beat in there is Carson's Run, who we just saw win the Saratoga Derby a few weeks ago over at Saratoga on August the 11th. Maybe you want to get a little bit more of a price in there. You could possibly keep an eye on the 9-horse Cameo Performance, who is offering you a little more value. So that's the first of the 3 graded stakes races at Kentucky Downs. Race number 9, another race with big money up for grabs. It's the $1.5 million Ladies Turf Sprint. It looks like there's a good amount of speed in there. Ruby Nell's drawn down to the inside. She's probably one of the horses to beat. If they do go fast early on, one of the horses who could take advantage of that is the number 11, Dance Macabre, to the outside. A big price that I'm going to throw into some of my multi-race exotics is the 10, Red Carpet Ready, who's only going to be making her second start on the turf. That final of 3 graded stakes races at Kentucky is race number 10. It is a mile in the ladies' turf, $1.5 million up for grabs in this one. Horses that'll be on my radar. The number 1, Nadette, I think fits very well in here. And then towards the outside, Mission of Joy will take a lot of money. EV Jets is a fun price to include. So, Alexa, we went from Del Mar over to Saratoga, back to Kentucky Downs, graded stakes races all over, Pacific Classic preview, Pick 5 preview. Good thing they pay us by the word, right?
We covered it all.
We hit a lot of ground. Now, as we get set to say goodbye to everyone, we want to let you know and remind you that these really cool past performances that we were showing you, you can actually get a full card of these for free. Alexa, why don't you let everybody know once again, one more time, where can they get that?
Absolutely, yes. For all of our SportsGrid viewers, just head over to drf.com/sportsgrid and use code SGTF24 and get your free card.
Good luck to everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on the Daily Racing Form Weekend Preview.